Things are gonna get crazy!
Most everyone's mad here.
Greetings and salutations, everyone! Welcome back to another episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. How are you all doing, everybody? Because I've been doing pretty well so far. And before we go and do begin, I just would like to go and make a statement regarding the last episode, because I know that there has been a lot of technical complications that did happen, especially with all the different buffering. And I just want to go and begin this by apologizing for what happened last time, because to this day, even though I tried to look up like what went wrong or why was it that my computer, or like why this stream was like completely buffering during the last episode, but it was just so complicated, and honestly it just really became more stressful than it should be.
Yeah!
Thank you, Gorn ZX, for the subscription, by the way. But I just like, even right now, I don't fully know about what really was the problem, or if it was something that it was either my computer just wouldn't handle it at the time, or if it was related to the weather, because it was a very cloudy day last week. It was just a very weird moment where I just wasn't sure what fully happened there. And again, it just left me completely exhausted, where I was trying to run a show and trying to make sure that the stream was still working and everything. It just ended up becoming more complicated than it should be, and it just resulted in a very messy episode. And for that, I am sorry. You know, I wish it could have been a much better episode than it was, but hopefully things will get better right now. The sky is clear where I am right now, so if anything, if it does happen again, then we do know that at the very least the weather is not the problem with any of the buffering issues that could possibly occur. And also, with that said, I know that a lot of people in the chat wall are saying it, but also shout out to Coolio, the man who is unfortunately no longer with us and will be spending eternity in the real gangsta's paradise. The man has left too soon and has definitely left a very significant impact. A lot of great songs that he has done throughout his career, especially Gangsta's Paradise, of course. So I got to give a shout out to Coolio. He left us way too soon, so just need to do that quick of a mention. Okay, so with that said and done, now that I did go and put out my apologies and my shout out to Coolio now, I would like to go into the chat wall and ask you all, are you ready for today's episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast? Let me hear it, folks. Are you ready? Let's see now. Oh, are you ready? Oh, yeah. Okay, I see. People are prepared. People are ready. That's great. That is beautiful. And let's hope that there's no more buffering issues on this episode, at the very least. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get this one started. And with our first story, I might as well get a few big news out of the way, because especially related to 20th century or Disney-related news. Also, thank you, Jay Monty, for the subscription as well. But as I was saying, there's been a lot of big Disney-related news, rather it be Hugh Jackman coming back as Wolverine for Deadpool 3, even though right now it's causing huge debates on the internet of how they can go and possibly do that, especially with what happened after Logan. And then there was also, and this was the original story that I wanted to talk about, or at least one of the original stories, that Disney has revealed Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, the fourth installment of the Planet of the Apes reboot franchise. However, this morning, or in the morning that I am recording this, Disney, or specifically Marvel, put out a brand new trailer for one of their more anticipated movies. So I figured, with that trailer coming out, why the fridge not will go and actually talk about this one. So, with that said and done, we shall go and begin this by looking into the trailer for the upcoming anticipated sequel of Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
Only the most broken people can be great leaders.
His people did not call him general or king. They called him Kukul Khan, the feather serpent god. Killing him will risk eternal war.
He's coming for the surface world.
We know what you whisper. They have lost their protector. Now is our time to strike. Show them who we are.
And that was Black Panther Wakanda Forever, in which it will be coming soon to theaters on November 11th. Okay, I don't know who the fridge did that subscription. Okay, so it's apparently DJoel 5, but I gotta say that it was absolutely hilarious in terms of the timing in there. And like suddenly we were just hearing the trailer. It's like suddenly it was at one point. It's like, we are ready. Yeah. Oh my god, I love it. Just that timing of that moment, that is beautiful. Just absolutely beautiful on that. Oh boy, wow. Okay. I love it. Okay, but anyways, going back into Black Panther Wakanda Forever, you probably do recall that I did talk a little bit about it when the teaser trailer was released. Oh boy, we got another subscription already. Chromic Matt, what the fridge is that name? Okay, oh well, it's okay, I think it's gone. Oh, no, it's a follower. Okay, never mind. But anyways, yes, I did talk about Black Panther Wakanda Forever before, and mostly talking about the teaser trailer and what they presented us and giving us our first true look into what they are going to be presenting with all that. And I feel like with what we have seen in this trailer in particular with Wakanda Forever, that one feels like they are... They really went like trying to go and expand a lot more of what we know about, because like my one piece of criticism I would say with this trailer is that it doesn't give us anything that's like truly new, because in here they're just expanding upon the ideas that we really do know about. Like in terms of the narrative, what they are presenting, or at least like quickly summarizing in 2 minutes, is that this is basically Wakanda's first crisis after the death of King T'Challa. And can the area be able to survive without their beloved king now that there's like a very massive problem in which the protector of Atlantis is no longer with them, and so the Atlanteans are going to go and really wreak havoc, and that's when we see a whole bunch of the action scenes. But I will say, though, that the true standout moments are probably near the end, where we actually did get a little bit of a taste of, well, of course, I mean, we might as well like point out the obvious, where we have our first look into the new version of Black Panther. But also one thing that did get me excited a little bit is that we got a little glimpse of Ironheart, who is going to be the new version of Iron Man. So in a way, Iron Man will be coming back, but now, well, it's not going to be Tony Stark. It's going to be Ironheart now. And those moments got me, like, admittedly, the first time that I did see this trailer, like, it got me pretty excited to see, like, the new, you know, to see more of, like, the new potential heroes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and seeing, like, this new version of Iron Man flying around. Like, it did get me excited a little bit. And like, of course, it goes without saying, the action that they are presenting here, like, they truly want to show that this is going to be quite an epic movie. Like, all these major action scenes, like with the Atlanteans, and you see Wakanda like trying to do the best they can in order to like in order to do the best they can in order to survive all this. And also, like, we got this like really epic shot over here of like this like behemoth of an Atlantean, so that's gonna be awesome. So already I could say that it is very promising in terms of the action that they are delivering, and also in terms of in terms of like the potential heroes that we are going to meet. I know that when it comes to the first Black Panther, they set an extremely high bar, considering that many would agree that it's not just one of the best Marvel movies of that phase, but one of the best Marvel movies ever. And even I would consider it one of my favorite MCU movies so far. So there's already going to be that massive high bar. But at the very least, I can say in terms of the typical superhero elements, giving you like spectacular visuals, giving you these epic action scenes and stuff like that, I feel like they definitely are going to go and deliver with this one. Like, they like already I could see from the trailers, like they are hyping me up in that sense. But the story and building up the characters, I'm sure that's going to be a big factor, and they're going to keep it a big surprise, especially when this is a movie that will really be about the people of Wakanda and how they're going to go through without King T'Challa. And well, of course, there's going to be that big subject matter about grief and moving on and like carrying a legacy. And that's going to be a big important factor, because again, this movie is going to be for it's primarily going to be for Chadwick Boseman, like to really honor him, to honor his legacy, and at the very least his contribution to the MCU as the original Black Panther. So looking back into this, honestly, it does have me hyped up. Like, sure, there's not a whole lot that it has given us in terms of new information. It did give us a little taste of the potential superheroes that we are going to meet, or like maybe towards like the finale where we will meet the new Ironheart and the new Black Panther and stuff like that. But overall, I will say this is extremely exciting so far. There's not a whole lot that I could really go and comment in regard of this, because again, a lot of my thoughts that I've had in the teaser trailer before, like I could pretty much go and copy paste them onto this, because, well, again, not a whole lot that it is presenting us that is necessarily new, that it is presenting us that will give us a lot of information that we haven't known before compared to the last movie, to the last time that we've seen clips of it. And I do appreciate that it doesn't necessarily show a whole lot, especially like kind of like the core or the soul of Black Panther. And when I say the core and the soul, I don't just mean the superhero elements with all the action and like the fighting bad guys and stuff like that. Yes, it's going to be awesome to go to see the Wakandan people versus the Atlanteans, but there will be like, hopefully there will be much more that this movie shall deliver. So already with this trailer, it looks pretty epic so far. I'm pretty hyped up for it. And with that said, if you guys are excited to go and see Black Panther Wakanda Forever, then keep in mind that the movie will be coming out on November 11th. Okay, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you all feel about Black Panther Wakanda Forever and its new trailer? Are you all excited to see the movie? Do you have any questions? Do you have any concerns? Let me know what you all think about this. Okay, let's see. There is a legit part of me that wants to see this movie if I want to honor Chadwick Boseman, and with good reason, with what they had presented with the Atlanteans, Ironheart, and of course the new Black Panther. But for me, I can't stop thinking about when Boseman's death was first revealed back in August of 2020. Oh my god, has it really been that long? Jeez. But I will see this with my family in the month of my birthday. By the way, how much do y'all want to bet that the Quartering, Geeks Plus Gamers, the Umbrella Guy, Clownfish TV are going to rip this apart? Oh yeah, no, I think there's no denying. I mean, lately, it looks like their mental disorder of anti-wokeness has really been triggering them in terms of black women existing. I mean, we've seen how their mental disorder got triggered when they saw Reva in Obi-Wan Kenobi. We saw how their mental disorder got triggered when they saw a black Ariel for the Little Mermaid remake. And even just very recently, how they got so triggered and throwing a temper tantrum all because Lizzo was playing a flute. And I can guarantee you 99.9% of those people, like, they have just learned that apparently James Madison had this flute and that there's this 200-year-old flute lying around in the White House. And now suddenly they're all up in arms because they have learned that Lizzo was playing it. So yeah, honestly, the thing is, anti-woke people are just too stupid because they're too racist and misogynistic to really understand it. It's the same reason why they're too stupid to comprehend and to watch either Black Panther or Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. And by the way, on a side note, if you guys have not seen the clip of Lizzo actually playing that flute, she's actually amazingly good, and I highly recommend you do so. Like, honestly, it doesn't matter, like, the historical significance of the flute. It really is just great to see Lizzo, like, masterfully playing that flute. So, like, it really is a nice little piece right there. So, really epic, really good, and really nice as well. So, just want to throw that out there. Let's see. If I'm going to do something different by talking about how I think this movie will open, maybe it will open with T'Challa, played by a body double, going into battle trying out Shuri's experimental new tech, but it goes horribly wrong, ending up with T'Challa getting killed by the foe. Not only would this set the story in motion, but it could also serve as an intro to an arc for Shuri, who could end up blaming herself for T'Challa's death and needing to overcome that turmoil. Text your mom about this. Honestly, I see where you're going with this. I get where you're at with it, but there's also a part of me that is not sure if I could agree with you. And that is mainly because about the idea if there's someone playing that specific King T'Challa. That's going to be something that would be very controversial because I can imagine that, like, the King T'Challa role has now become extremely sacrilegious. Like, it would be offensive if there was anyone, even if it was like a body double, that would go and play King T'Challa. So I don't know. I feel like that plot element, it could really work out, but I could see it working a bit more as like maybe exposition. Like, if they would go and describe it, Like that way it would be a bit more respectful. So, again, I get where you're at, but I don't know about the idea of having a body double to go and play as King T'Challa. That's the part where I feel a little bit iffy. Let's see, what other comments do we have here? Boy, oh boy, the timing of yeah really got me. Anyways, back to the trailer. This looks really good, but I don't see how Black Panther died because there was no evidence. Overall, I'm actually pretty hyped up for this. The story and visuals look amazing, and Shuri being the new Black Panther. Also, today's my birthday, if you didn't get that, so I'll get something good for this podcast. Oh, happy birthday! Funny enough, well, my birthday technically is going to be in 2 days, so hey, we can pretty much we can pretty much share the birthday celebrations together. Let's see, what else do we have here? No, I already read you. Here we go. With a few exceptions, Phase 4 of the MCU haven't really been that great when compared to the previous phases, but this does look like it will be incredible. The story feels like it will be very ambitious, not just with showing these new heroes and remembering Chadwick Boseman, but also with the possibility that Namor will be something like an anti-villain, as he is clearly praised by his people, and like they mentioned, excuse me, and like they mentioned, it will cause a lot more problems if he was killed rather than resolved. Yeah, that is true. Like, the world building seems like another element that feels, that will be very interesting, and that could probably be a key part of Wakanda Forever. I mean, a big admirable thing with what they did in Black Panther is actually the world building and really introducing audiences to the world of Wakanda. So I'm sure it's going to be also extremely fascinating with not just the update of a Wakanda without King T'Challa, but also with the additional factor of the MCU version of Atlantis. And I'm sure they're going to have a lot to play with. And so far, it's very admirable with the Mesoamerican approach that they have. So that's going to be extremely fascinating to see. Let's see, what else do we have here? As a huge MCU fan, this trailer got me hyped and made me extremely emotional. This looks like a great tribute to Chadwick Boseman. The action looks awesome, the visuals are great, and I am so excited to see Shuri as Black Panther, so overall I'm excited. Also, this is either going to make or break the MCU going forward with how Phase 4 has been a hit and miss, and I hope they can end this phase on a high note. Oh, I'm sure they have to. Like, I know, like, technically the MCU movies are still technically doing well, like, financially, especially, like, on Disney Plus. They're still highly watched, and even She-Hulk is currently one of the most watched streaming shows out there. And even though, like, they have yet to surpass, like, over $1 billion, movies like Thor: Love and Thunder and Doctor Strange 2 are still highly successful at the box office. But in order to truly gain audiences' trust, yeah, that's going to be the key factor. Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. Like, they really need to go into a different direction that they are currently are right now, so that if they could be able to go and like meet audiences' expectations as something like really grand and really extravagant, and at the very least be like near the levels of the first Black Panther, then they could have a very solid hit. And I'll even say right now, if this movie turns out to be really good and it turns out to really satisfy audiences, then that's going to end up becoming a bigger hit than Top Gun Maverick. I'm just saying that right now. Okay, I think I'm gonna go and read one more comment before we go and before we move on to the next story. I'm really interested to see what they will do with the sequel. I mean, when Kevin Feige announced that they won't recast Chadwick, I was a little scared since I wasn't sure how they would continue the franchise without him. But after seeing the trailers so far, I could tell you that they really cared about this project, and hopefully it will be a really good send-off to Chadwick. P.S. I was not expecting the yeah to be timed correctly. Oh my god, you have no idea. I think you pretty much started this episode off with probably the biggest highlight of the moment. Like, I think this is going to be something that a lot of people will remember for a long time. Like, honestly, this is the kind of interaction that I love about this podcast, that suddenly fans will come in, they will subscribe at the perfect time, and it just makes for an unforgettable moment, just like what we've experienced here. Well, anyways, it's great to see all the hype that is currently going on. And with that said, it is now time to just go and say that if you all would like to go and see Black Panther Wakanda Forever, then keep in mind that the movie will be released in theaters on November 11th. All right, so it is now time that we go into our second story. And by the way, just that little ding there is nothing too significant. It's just I forgot to go and reactivate my soundboard, so to make sure that like when I press a button, it doesn't like heavily delay it. So like I could just press and it will activate. So just want to do that little checkup. But anyways, going back to our second story, we do have another trailer, and coincidentally enough, this is actually another movie that will be released on November 11th. Not on the big screen, however, but on Netflix. And yet, even though this might not be as epic as Black Panther Wakanda Forever, this is still something, especially for animation fans, that they should go and keep their eye on. So, with that said, now let's go into our second trailer, to which we are going to go and watch My Father's Dragon. My Father's Dragon, to which it will be coming soon to Netflix on November 11th. And yes, this is going to be the next animated feature brought to us by Cartoon Saloon, specifically from director Nora Twomey. And I just gotta say right now, I love Cartoon Saloon. Like, this is the kind of studio in which they put out phenomenal film after phenomenal film, and there has yet to be an animated feature that they did put out. Like, even though they only put out a handful so far, like so far there has yet to be one that is like under great. Like, so far, each one of them is just amazing. The Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, The Breadwinner, and Wolfwalkers. And now they are going to have their latest edition with My Father's Dragon. And so far, I gotta say, it's very intriguing with the way that they have crafted My Father's Dragon. I mean, the animation style is something that, like, you could tell this is immediately something from Cartoon Saloon. Like, it has a bit of those familiar, it has a bit of that familiar quality with its stylistic 2D look. Like, yeah, you could immediately familiarize this and like see the similarities compared to what they have done with something like The Breadwinner, or even recently with Wolfwalkers. But I will say, even at that, like, even though there are some similarities, it is still a very unique animated feature. And the style of it, I do believe that it is based on a children's book. Like, it does have that very children's book feel. Like, if there is a massive comparison that I can do with the animation style here, more so than the other Cartoon Saloon works, I would have to say that it reminds me so much of the Little Golden Books. Like, the the Little Golden Books. You probably had a few when you were a child. Like, it reminds me of that style where it does have that charming simplicity, where it does emphasize more the shapes to show the representation of people and the life around the people. So it does have that very cute charm. Even like when you look at the animals, like when Elmer goes into the island and you see like the tigers, for example. Where is it? Like oh yeah, and then like you got here where the dragon Boris, like he has like all these little hamsters around him, but then there's also like the tigers. Like, they, like, even though they're presented as like they're cute, but they're also like they're massive. Like this is Elmer right over here, but you see like these tigers are just like extremely massive, but like they still have that very adorable charm, especially when they're like, it looks like they're mostly built out of circles. So and like even the alligators also, like you got the baby alligators, which they look like little stick figures with giant eyeballs, and then like you also got this like the crocodile here, in which like you see it completely on its side and just a bunch of teeth. So it does very much have that storybook feel, and even the opening as well has that child book feel, where like it's very lighthearted, and it's something that really does try to emphasize the wonder of everything, where Elmer helps out this Whoopi Goldberg cat, and the Whoopi Goldberg cat goes and talks to him by saying, "Elmer, you've helped me so much. Now I'm going to help you by bringing you to this island where you will go and meet a friendly dragon." And like, you know, it has that cute little tone. It even has like just that cute little humor that it feels like it's meant, like it feels like a movie that's made more for children, you know, like kind of like the scene with the alligator here.
You save Wild Island. You're pulling my leg. Hey, stop pulling my leg.
Like you got that, like it is very cute. But then there was the halfway point, like I believe like immediately straight after that little joke of pulling my leg, suddenly the movie gets pretty serious. Like suddenly that cute little charm, it gets put to the side just a bit, not entirely, but it gets put to the side where things get a little bit more serious, a little bit more epic. Like it gets a little heavier than you may think, where it would then go and introduce the concept about the island and how it is sinking, and it's up to Boris to go and save it. In which he was literally trained by apes to go and actually save the island by continuously lifting it up, but Boris notices that, well, every time he does so, it would sink down even further. So now it's up to Boris and Elmer to go and find a way to find a better solution in order to go and save the island and save all the creatures that are within it. And just by saying that, I realized, wow, this really is like a cartoon saloon style movie, because it really does have that environmental message about saving the wildlife, saving the animals, and that is kind of like the ultimate mission of what they have to do. You know, it's a little bit similar to what we have already gotten with Wolf Walkers, of course, with and The Secret of Kells. But still, though, like suddenly that shift in tone is not only surprising, but it really does add more weight to the feature, where like it feels like suddenly it's presenting to us that there is much more than it may seem. And I will admit, the second half of this trailer actually caught my attention even more than the first half, where it did show us like what really is at stake here. Now, the one comment that I will make, however, the one piece of criticism that I will state is that, admittedly, from this trailer, I am not 100% convinced that this is going to be as good as Cartoon Saloon's other works. Now, I do understand, because Cartoon Saloon has a ridiculously high standard. Like, I'm not exaggerating when I say that some of the best animated features in recent years were released by Cartoon Saloon. Rather it be with, again, The Secret of Kells, Song of the Sea, The Breadwinner, and Wolfwalkers, they were all phenomenal. And I will say right now that what I've seen so far with this trailer, it's great. It's actually pretty awesome, but I'm yet to be 100% convinced that it's going to be as good as those other features. Like, I don't know if I could see this ultimately being the #1 best animated film of 2022, or even maybe among the top 5. But if this is going to be the best, I don't know. Like, I would still have to think about it, and I would have to see a bit more of My Father's Dragon. But still, though, like, again, this is like a very stupidly high standard, and it's kind of like unfair to go and make that comparison. You know, it's kind of like the same kind of comparison people would make with Lightyear and all the other Toy Story movies, especially when those Toy Story movies have like a legendarily high standard that very few feature films in general could ever reach. And it's kind of like the same case here. Like, I could totally be wrong, and My Father's Dragon could be on par with them, but still, they are a stupidly high standard, and it's, I don't know, I feel like right now it's just tough to imagine from what I've seen in this trailer that this could be on par with them. It's still going to be a really solid movie from what I can tell, but is it going to be like Wolfwalker's good? I don't know, man. I just, I don't know. But still, though, it is a very charming feature. And, actually, there is one more thing that I do want to comment, and this is probably the thing that I am the most surprised about with My Father's Dragon. Is actually the release date in which they're putting it out on November 11th. Now, I do recall, I don't know who specifically I've talked to with this. I know it's one of my patrons, like one of my supporters on Patreon. But I don't know if it's like during one of my Patreon chats or if it's like a time outside of that. But just thinking about it, I remember having a chat with one of them, and we were suddenly talking about My Father's Dragon and about the possibility of when it's going to be released. And I believe they told me that it would come, like they were thinking maybe it'll come out in November. But then I disagreed with them because I felt like that wouldn't be a very wise move for Netflix, especially if they are going for the Oscar for Best Animated Feature. Because already at the end of the year, they already got some major hyped up animated features from some big name masters of the field. Rather it be Henry Selick with Wendell and Wild, or especially Guillermo del Toro with his stop motion adaptation of Pinocchio. I feel like by also including a cartoon saloon movie with My Father's Dragon, it would feel like they're putting all their eggs in one basket. And from an awards perspective, I feel like they're going to go and just throw everything all together when at the end of the day, there should be one movie. Well, there should be one winner. That's what I mean. So honestly, I felt like it probably would have made sense if they delayed My Father's Dragon to 2023 so that it would go and enter into the next award season. But I don't know. I guess, well, it turns out I was wrong, though, and that patron, whoever you are, it turns out you were right about that, dude. Point for you on that one. But yeah, overall, though, I don't know, like, for me, I will say, even though I'm still debating rather if this is going to be something that would feel like it's going to be on par with the previous Cartoon Saloon films, but I am still optimistic to seeing that one. It still looks very charming. It still looks like it really is worth the watch. And for those of you who are excited to go and see My Father's Dragon, then keep in mind it will be coming soon on Netflix on November 11th. Okay, so with that said, I'd like to go into the chat wall. And it's time I ask you all, what do you all think about the My Father's Dragon trailer? Are you guys hyped up about this? Is this now your most anticipated animated movie for the rest of 2022? Are you a little bit hesitant? Do you have any questions? Let me know what you think. Okay, let's see. Cartoon Saloon has yet to miss with their movies, and they seem to be yet another hit. The animation with its storybook visual style just looks amazing. The characters are rather charming, and the story, while not that impressive at the moment, seems like it will be pretty intense in the later half. If there is something that could improve this, I just want the kid to say, it's nice to see this dragon and all, but how is this going to fix my family's financial situation? Yeah, it's always funny, like with these stories, there seems to be this common theme where like somehow the kid going into their fantasy island or whatever is all part of like running away from the family problems and stuff. Now, they ain't gonna be contributing to like the financial issues or find a way to help the parents. No, you got to go into this magical land. So yeah, thanks. Yeah, thank you, Elmer, for helping your mother with that. You could go and talk to your Whoopi Goldberg cat and go to your island and meet Boris and stuff like that. Okay, but anyways, let's see. As a fan of Cartoon Saloon's movies, I was really hyped for this. But the key word is was, because I went from really hyped to ridiculously hyped. The animation looks stellar, the story has a lot of intrigue, and the chemistry between Jacob and Gaiden is great. It won't be the first film I watch on that day, since Wakanda always comes first, but it's a must-watch nonetheless. Just as long as it is an improvement from the last time Whoopi Goldberg starred in an animated movie with a dragon. Oh my god. Wait, which one was that again? Oh crap, wait. I'm trying to remember. Wait, was it, if I remember, was it Luck that she was in? I remember she was credited in Luck, but I'm trying... Yeah, okay, no, now I do remember. Yes, of course. Yeah, she was like that angry sector. Yeah, she was like that angry captain lady who has a grudge against the Simon Pegg cat. Okay, now I do recall. Now I get what you mean. It took me a while because, well, I mean, to be fair, it's Luck. It's not that memorable of a movie in the first place. So I had to like, you know, I had to like start, like had to really think, like get through all the Latvia jokes in order to comprehend, oh yeah, Whoopi Goldberg was in that film. Let's see now. I have seen all of their films from Cartoon Saloon, and all of them are beautifully amazing. For My Father's Dragon, this will be another hit from them, and it is made for Netflix. The story, animation, voice acting, characters, visuals, and even the music all look really good so far, and I hope it's awesome. Will it be the best? I don't know, but I'm placing my bet it will be the other Netflix film, Pinocchio. Place my bet with the other Netflix film, Pinocchio by Guillermo del Toro, to be best still. Oh yeah. Well, honestly, you know, the funny thing is that so far all the animated films that I'm excited the most for coming into 2022, all of them are actually from Netflix. Like Wendell and Wild, My Father's Dragon, and Pinocchio. I will say like the other two, like Wendell and Wild and Pinocchio, are like, oh, like my hype is more higher than My Father's Dragon so far, but those of them, I would say I'm all hyped up for those. Like, yeah, I'm optimistic for Disney's Strange World as well, but admittedly not as much as the Netflix stuff. So I just want to go and put it out there. Let's see. This sounds like a really charming movie. Definitely good. Definitely going to have this for mine and my sisters. After Ilona Holmes and Wakanda Forever, this is the first Cartoon Saloon movie in which they have voices I'm familiar with and not Irish actors. I'm a sucker to hear Jacob Tremblay being the voice and Gaiden's lisp thing. I want to protect these boys. So yeah, this looks and sounds great. All right, that's nice. Let's see. Holy smokes, the Irish gods at Cartoon Saloons are back. I freaking love this studio. It's like any concept or story they do turns to pure gold, and I am so ready for this. The animation is just beautiful and colorful. The acting from Jacob Tremblay and Gaiden Matazzaro is surprisingly really good, and I'm totally digging the story. Though I'm a bit nervous about the quality of the movie, but I'll stay patient. Also, is nobody going to talk about how cute Boris's design is? Oh yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, what's not cute in this movie? As I said before, like the design has a very lovely storybook look to it, and I mean, yeah, like even with Boris, yeah, like of course he's adorable as well. Like he's included on that list of that really cute charm. So honestly, like, yeah, I guess the only reason why people are not talking about how cute Boris is because, well, first people have to choose what they would find to be the cutest first, because you never know. Maybe like the other cute thing would have to be like where is it? It would have to be like the gerbils, for example, the ones that were on that were on Boris beforehand. I'm trying to remember, where is that clip? Oh yeah, like right over here. Maybe it could be maybe it could be like those little hamsters that could overshadow Boris's cuteness. Okay, I'm gonna go and read one more comment before we move on to the next story. Let's see. This trailer looks great. I am a big fan of Cartoon Saloon animated films, and in my opinion, they have one of the best track records for an animation studio, and this looks like another great addition. Wait, did I read this one? I don't know. It sounds familiar. The animation, let's see. The animation is beautiful, the story seems interesting, and the character seems fun. So overall, I'm really excited, and I'll definitely give it a watch when it comes to Netflix. Okay, maybe. Oh, okay. Actually, you know what? I'll go and cap this off right over here. So, let's see. As a fan of Cartoon Saloon and the Irish folklore movies that Tom Moore made, I'm really looking forward to this. The animation looks very detailed. Jacob Tremblay and Gaten Matarazzo providing the voices for the main characters. And the story looks like it came from a children's book, which the movie is based on. But I am pretty skeptical to whether this is going to be good than any of the other Cartoon Saloon films, but we just have to wait and see. Also, fun fact, Japan also adapted My Father's Dragon as well. All right, so I could definitely see a lot of people are very much hyped up for this. That's great to go and check out. So with that said, if you are all excited to go and check out My Father's Dragon, well, you'll have to go and debate which one you'll have to see first, either Wakanda Forever or My Father's Dragon, considering both films are going to be coming out on November 11th. Now, moving on to the next story, this is going to be the final trailer that we are going to look for, or that we are going to look at in today's episode. And with this one, I'm just going to say right now, and this might be something I will be repeating, you might not think that you need this documentary. You might not think that this is something that is worth talking about in the first place. But the more you think about it, the more that it is necessary that we do have to discuss about that moment, because yeah, it was kind of like a weird period in our history, wasn't it? So with that said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for the upcoming Peacock documentary, I Love You, You Hate Me.
It just exploded nationwide.
It was a cultural phenomenon.
What color is happier than purple? No color.
This is Barney, and this is what he sounded like.
Barney stands for inclusion, acceptance.
You should love everyone. We all have Cheryl Leach to thank for that.
As her beloved character was heading into the stratosphere, people couldn't accept that this was just a show, and so let the bashing begin.
Some of the rumors that I heard, Barney hides drugs in his tail.
They were violent and explicit.
Death and dismemberment of my family.
I love you, Barney.
They were going to come and find me, and they were going to kill me.
Just the dark side of this whole moment.
That must have devastated Cheryl.
There was something larger going on here.
I don't think you could ever think somebody would go and shoot someone.
And that was I Love You, You Hate Me, the documentary that will be looking into the history of Barney, or more specifically, the history of the hate towards Barney. And that's going to be coming soon on Peacock next week on October 12th. Now, let me just go and start things off by saying that I remember when I was a child, I used to watch Barney. Barney used to be one of my go-to preschool shows to go and watch, along with a few other shows at the time, like a few Canadian shows like Cheryl, Lois, and Bram, and and of course Sesame Street. But yeah, I used to watch Barney often. But then suddenly, when I was at that period where I grew out of watching preschool shows and I moved on to like Teletoon and YTV, and I would watch things like Ed, Edd n Eddy and SpongeBob, for some reason, that seemed to be perfect. Oh, thank you so much, Giuliano, for the subscription, by the way. But as I was saying, when I was growing up and I just grew out of like watching preschool shows and stuff like that, it timed perfectly with the whole trend of hating Barney. Like, of course, as a kid, like me and my friends, like we would go and do these stupid, do these stupid jokes about like hating Barney and stuff, like as a way to look cool and edgy. But when it comes to the hatred against Barney, that was like a phenomenon. That was a massive trend. And even though like, yeah, back then, like me and my friends, we were doing it because like kids will be kids and stuff like that. But it was also a way for people to be cool. Like, you would not be considered cool if you don't hate Barney. Like, it was something that people would go and make fun of if you are someone who would publicly go and say that you like Barney. And it's not just among children, it's not just amongst kids, but it was also like in the media as well, how they also really loved hating Barney. And you would see shows and movies in which they would also go and pull their own little comedy shtick in which the punchline is related to hating Barney or even to a bit of extremes of killing Barney. In fact, I could even go and state that I remember when there was a time when one of the ultimate go-to punchlines was a dead Barney. Like, it was up there with Michael Jackson, where no matter what the joke is, if the punchline is related to a dead Barney, you would go and get a laugh. Like, for example, back in like the early 2000s per se, why did the chicken cross the road? To go and kill Barney. That used to be considered a major funny joke at the time. A priest and a rabbi go and walk into a bar. They drink, they ordered their drinks and they blew up Barney. Like, that was considered a joke. Like, that was legitimately considered to be comedy at the time, where they would go and present Barney as like this massive target, as this massive punching bag, that if there's ever one person that would be considered okay to kill, it would be Barney. And of course, ever since then, like me and most of the world at least, we all grew up, and like that whole trend about hating Barney, that has pretty much have passed. But then suddenly the subject of hating Barney has come back, especially with this documentary with I Love You, You Hate Me. And as you have seen, it gave us a little taste of like what really went on with the whole hatred against Barney, especially going on with that trend. And again, it's one of those things like you wouldn't really think about. Like, it wouldn't really cross your mind that there really was that period where hating on Barney was legitimately popular. But now, like, after seeing this documentary, I kind of look back and I think to myself, like, oh yeah, that was a thing. And oh crap, I used to participate on that. Like, admittedly, ever since watching this documentary, I honestly felt pretty bad. And sorry for swearing, but honestly, after watching that, it really did make me feel like an asshole. Like I will confess, like there was a bit of my childhood where I kind of acted a little bit like Caillou in a sense, like back when I'll confess, back when I was a kid or as a child, yes, I used to watch Caillou as well, and I did imitate some of his behavior in a pretty bad way. And looking back at it, yeah, I used to really participate in like those Barney jokes with my friends and with some of my family as well, and even made fun of kids who loved Barney. And like it just made me feel bad. Like, God, I really was an asshole back then with the whole thing. Like, I feel like I owe an apology to some of those people I used to make fun of, or even with like towards Barney himself. Like, I want to go to Barney and say I'm sorry that I was a prick back then. But yeah, it did like, honestly, it really was a stupid moment where, yeah, it was all for the purpose of trying to look cool and edgy, but there really was nothing to gain. Like, yeah, just throwing so much hate on a children's show. And when you think about it, it's like, what is the biggest crime that Barney did commit? Like, when you look back at like what Barney did, like, what did Barney do specifically to deserve all that hate? You know, really, it's nothing. It's just the fact that it's just this goofy children's show, like, with this little dinosaur talking all goofy and giving children a lot of hugs. You know, it's honestly completely ridiculous. Just the hate of it, it really was unnecessary, and it really goes to show how sometimes, like, the feeling of trying to be edgy, like, it honestly does make you look stupid. I know, like, to this day, there are still some kids out there who thrive to be edgy, that they want to present themselves as a rebel, as all cynical and really throwing hate onto things that are unnecessary, like Barney the Dinosaur. But in truth, it ends up making you look like a complete idiot. You know, you're not edgy, you're not cool. You just look like a juvenile delinquent, and not even a smart one at that. So yeah, honestly, like, it does make, you know, I will admit, like, with this trailer alone, like, not even from watching the series yet, like, it made me reflect upon my past actions and realize, yeah, I was wrong back then for even trying to go and, like, participate in that stupid trend. But I will say also that looking more into this, like, looking more into the aspect of Barney and what they have presented, the more I do think about it, the more I feel like in this day and age, it is necessary that we need a documentary like this, that it is absolutely necessary when we see like this pop culture figure getting so much hate and so much backlash for no particular reason, and the actions that people would go and, like, the extreme lengths in which did end up harming, well, not physically harming, but it did put in a lot of mental and emotional damage on the people who did work on the show. Like, how they would go and send death threats, how there was, like, some legitimate crimes that were involved, like people trying to hire hitmen to go and, like, assassinate Barney and stuff like that. Like, it was at a point where, like, now this documentary is showing us where, like, the hate of it really got out of hand, and it's unfortunately something that's still going on to this day. Like, yeah, maybe the hate specifically towards Barney, like, it's already been passed. That's, like, pretty much over now, but, like, we still see this kind of extreme towards pop culture figures and pop culture characters where people are, like, really driven into hatred and really driven, like, to really be edgy to the point where they would go and send death threats and plot assassinations and keep trying to make jokes about, like, these dead pop culture characters. And yeah, again, maybe it's not towards Barney anymore, but we are still seeing this to this day with culture wars, especially coming from people who are considered to be anti-woke, in which they're on this massive hate crusade to fight against woke culture, to go and fight anything that supports diversity, inclusion, and to go and treat one another equally. Anybody who spreads any of those positive messages, those anti-woke people would go in and would desperately try to send their hate, and sometimes would go into dangerous extremes. And we have seen some examples of how they would go into that level of dangerous extremes. Like recently with Riva, for example, where you got those anti-woke people continuously sending her death threats because she is a black woman with a prominent role in a Star Wars project, specifically with Obi-Wan Kenobi. So we know that anti-woke people are behind, like, a lot of very common, not just hate campaigns, but death threat campaigns. Yeah! Well, thank you for agreeing with me then. Oh my God. Thank you, Wreck in Silence Records. Wow, another perfectly timed moment right there with the subscription. But anyways, as I was saying, Yeah, so we know that like these anti-woke people would continue on with this Barney level of hatred towards anything that they would presume woke. And even like the most extreme actions, we have seen them recently happen. Like you guys remember how like these anti-woke people have been exposed with what they would do in Kiwi Farms, the domestic terrorist website that would go and organize these targeted harassment campaigns in which they would go and attack anybody that they would presume to be woke or especially people who are part of the LGBTQ plus community and the trans community and all that kind of stuff, where they would go and like not only bully them but continuously send them death threats, make their lives a living hell, and try to push those people into the extremes to the point where they would unfortunately take their own lives. And there have been a few instances that sadly Kiwi Farms has been successful into bullying people to the brink of them taking their own lives, sadly. Like those are things that did happen. And that's honestly why I feel like it is necessary to have a documentary like I Love You, You Hate Me, to show how far people would go when it comes to the hate of pop culture figures, or like when you see like these massive hate campaigns people would go and do with pop culture figures like Barney, even if they would be like just regardless if they are like actors or if they are like suited up figures or cartoon characters or anything like that, it shows the dangerous and extreme lengths that people would go to in order to really go and spread that hatred, especially right now when we do see like these alt-right YouTubers such as the Quartering, Geeks Plus Gamers, encouraging their fans to go and make these targeted harassment campaigns, encourage them to go and send death threats to anything that they consider woke or is not part of Hitler's master race, to go and like do all these Kiwi Farm tactics onto projects like anything that Disney would put out, like She-Hulk and The Little Mermaid, or what we're seeing right now with the Lord of the Rings series on Amazon, and so much more. I think it is a very prominent example, and I feel like with I Love You, You Hate Me, it would serve as a very good lesson about some of the dangerous extremes that people would go to when it comes to really putting a lot of hate on something pop culture related. So again, it's something that you would never really think about why you would necessarily need this type of series. Like, you wouldn't really think that, yeah, we gotta have a documentary about the hate on Barney. No one would ever think that. But the more you think about it, the more necessary it feels, especially with the fact that, like, just through the trailer alone, it was only 1 minute, but in my experience, it made me reflect upon my past actions and how wrong I was back then, and it made me think about the current climate of pop culture and how there are still these hate campaigns that can be taken to dangerous extremes, even to the point where it could legitimately end up hurting people. And especially with the intentions of anti-woke people, you know they want to go and hurt others. So honestly, yeah, I feel like this is going to be very intriguing. I mean, despite the fact that it is going to be on something like Peacock, and even as a Canadian myself, I don't have Peacock, so I'll have to find like other means, whatever they may be, to go and like find it if this documentary ever does get released in Canada. But overall, though, this is actually pretty interesting. I gotta say, like, yeah, I think this might be a documentary worth checking out. So if you are intrigued to go and check out I Love You, You Hate Me, then keep in mind that the 2-part series will be coming out this October 12th, which again is going to be next Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, on next Wednesday. Okay, so with that said, I would like to go into the chat wall, and I would like to ask you all, what do you all think about the trailer of I Love You, You Hate Me? Are you guys going to go and watch it? Are you intrigued by some of the concepts? Are you a little hesitant to see this? Let me know what you think. Okay, let's see now. I don't remember when Barney changed his song to "You hate me, I kill you. What you've heard about hell is true, but But really though, as a kid who grew up with Barney and watched the movie, dude, sue me. I was 4. I thought Mrs. Puff was hot. Wait, what? This is an interesting insight into the dinosaur. I haven't much to say, but all in all, I'm a little curious to see how they do Swarly dirty. Oh, darn, I thought I was able to beat the autocorrect this time. Honestly, I honestly feel like the Smiling Friends meme. Like, yeah, you can put your comment about like the trailer and what we have seen, but I just need to ask, you think Mrs. Puff is, you thought Mrs. Puff was hot? Like, I have questions right there, man. I'm sure there is a group of people out there who would find Mrs. Puff to be sexy. I am sure. But I still have questions though. Especially when this is a pufferfish. Like this literally is a character that could legitimately kill you. So, just a fair warning. Let's see. I used to watch Barney and Friends as a kid, but it wasn't my go-to preschool show. I could see how people hate Barney due to his voice and his creepy face, and it does make sense. But somehow, same as you, I feel bad for not only Barney, but the creators of Barney and Friends, because they were just making a show for children to have fun, enjoy, and have a connection with Barney. But overall, this documentary does look interesting, even though I don't hate Peacock, but I could give it a watch. All right. Let's see right over here. For me, when it comes to preschool shows, Elmo's World was my go-to preschool show, but for Barney, I have seen some episodes of it, and it was enjoyable. Although I did get annoyed by the I Love You song as I grew older, but I didn't end up hating Barney. Seeing the hate on Barney was terrible, and this documentary shows more of the hate it had become. I'm gonna see this when it comes out. Also, we need a documentary about the hate of Scrappy-Doo, as he is still being hated to this day in 2022. Actually, you know what? I need to say this. There's actually a very fun fact about Scrappy-Doo. Originally, I was thinking about doing a video about the history of Scrappy-Doo and the hate that went against it. I was thinking like I was ready to go and talk about like Scrappy-Doo because I thought it was often honestly with his reputation, I always thought like he had the reputation of being the most hated cartoon character of all time. But then I did see a few videos that already tackled that subject, so I didn't want to be someone who would be accused of stealing ideas. So honestly, I did end up changing my plans on that, and I decided to go with another character that is often considered to be very hated, and that was Caillou. And that is actually the origins of how I made that Caillou video, which to this day is one of my most popular videos that I've ever done. So I just figured like I wanted to mention it, considering that this comment actually did bring up a documentary about Scrappy-Doo, because I was close to doing it, but I saw others already did it, so I decided, all right, let's go and change the plan and let's do it. Let's talk about Caillou. And to this day, I ended up gaining a new reputation of being the Caillou guy. And I'm dang proud of that reputation, too. Let's see now. On the topic of anti-Barney humor, have you heard about the Barney Bunch? This is a text-to-speech parody of Barney, but in addition, it even mocks characters like Drew Pickles and Ronald McDonald, and it started back in 2005, and it still goes on today. And this is unlike any other forms of anti-Barney humor, the punchline being that they say that they are gay. Yeah, 2005 was when people are trying so hard to be funny. Yeah, it's the most offensive form of anti-Barney jokes. Look up the Barney Bunch. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, especially 2005, when I could arguably say like that was like when like edginess was at its peak in terms of its popularity. I would not be surprised if in that show they would have like the punchline is that, oh, they're gay, because that was also another punchline that I remembered that it was like so mainstream. It's like, just saying that someone is gay is like a whole punchline in itself. Let's see what else we have here. Which one? I'll go here. Personally, I never really grew up with Barney when I was a kid since I had more of a connection to Blue's Clues, but I am aware of the amount of hate he got. This documentary looks interesting and could help people know about the darker side and the hate Barney gets. So overall, this could be interesting. Also, I think with the Barney hate, the infamous clip of the Barney balloon popping in the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade is more accurate than you think. Oh yeah, honestly, it feels like a conspiracy theory, but I can imagine they'll probably present that balloon and they'll say like, believe it or not, this was on purpose. Someone shot the Barney balloon and it went down. I don't think that's what legitimately happened, but I would not be surprised if that clip somehow ended up being presented in the documentary, because I'm sure that is something that the Barney haters ended up getting so much more fuel, and they really got a lot of mileage out of that little clip right there. Okay, I'm gonna read one more comment before we move on to the next story. To be truthfully honest, this was just either interesting or completely hard to watch. I don't want to get personal, but I remember when I was growing up in the first grade, kids sometimes make insults me loving Barney, since I always cherish him as a surrogate dad figure I needed at the time after the divorce, and I still do today. I'm not sure I could stomach that trailer seeing it again, but I am at least interested, since I am a fan, still standing strong, and to be honest, I do want to know, did he have a happy ending? Well, I mean, to this day, like, things are getting better with the Barney movie, and yeah, I could completely understand, and that is actually a prominent example where, yeah, it was pretty mainstream, like, just to go and make fun of Barney, and whenever a Barney lover was spotted, or when somebody found a Barney lover, you bet that they would be bullied, you bet that they would be made fun of, and I'm sorry that you went through this, dude, but I'm sure nowadays, when it comes to Barney, there is a happy ending, especially when nowadays, if I remember correctly, Daniel Kaluuya is currently making a new Barney movie, I think, and he promised that it's going to be it's going to have a darker concept, or it's going to be for older audiences. I believe. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's actually going to be something. But yeah, so far it looks like it has gathered a lot of interest. So if you guys are interested to check out I Love You, You Hate Me, then don't forget that it's going to be coming out on Peacock on October 12th. Okay, so moving on to our next story. What we have here, well, unfortunately we don't have any more trailers, but we are going to be talking about the wonderful world of Disney. And as you guys have probably seen, Disney has gained a bit of an interest in turning their theme park rides into live action movies. Now, we've already seen them done that a few times, especially with Pirates of the Caribbean and very recently with the Jungle Cruise. But now they are going to do more than before, in which next year we are going to get the Haunted Mansion movie, well, at least another Haunted Mansion movie. And then there's also going to be, just recently, it was actually announced that there's going to be a big Thunder Mountain movie from the people that brought you the Hawkeye series. But then there is this one. And I gotta say, it's actually pretty unexpected, because I did not expect this character in particular to actually star in his own feature film. And who I'm talking about specifically is regarding Figment. Yes, it has been revealed that Disney is currently in the works to go and work on a new movie in which it will be starring Figment, the beloved purple dragon, who is one of the main characters in the classic Epcot attraction Journey into Imagination, and is still there to this day with the new version, or at least the recent version that is still going on after 20 years, Journey into Imagination with Figment. Now, I just want to state right now that it is still in very early production. It is still very early. This is a newly announced thing that Disney stated that they are cool to go and actually start. Like there's no announcement in regards to the cast. We don't have a time of when they're going to go and start production. We don't know who's going to be directing it. We don't even know a release date. But what we do know is that this movie apparently is going to be brought to us by Point Grey, the studio that is owned by Seth Rogen. And by the way, no, we don't have a confirmation if Seth Rogen is going to be in the movie. But we do have a confirmation of the writers, which is actually going to be Dan Hernandez and Benji Samit, the writers of Detective Pikachu. In fact, there is also some other works that Hernandez and Samit have actually worked on. So just to quickly read you here from my source on Deadline, it states, the writing team of Hernandez and Samit penned 2019's Pokemon Detective Pikachu and 2021's The Addams Family 2, and developed the upcoming Hulu animated series Koala Man, premiering in 2023. Other notable credits include Apple's Central Park, The Tick for Amazon, and the One Day at a Time reboot. So that's pretty much the main thing that we do know, that there's going to be this Figment movie from the writers of Detective Pikachu and from Seth Rogen's Point Grey. Also, there is one more thing I want to state, that another thing that we don't know 100% about is regarding where it's going to be released. Some say that it is going to be released on the big screen. Others are stating that it's most likely just going to be coming out on Disney+. Either way, we don't necessarily know, but all we do know is that the Detective Pikachu writers are currently working on a Figment movie. Now, let me just go and start this off by saying that I am a major Figment fan. Not only is Figment my favorite, Disney park character, but he's one of my favorite Disney characters, period. I mean, just the childlike wonder, the complete optimism that he has, like just filled with fun, filled with joy. And you know, just like being a cool dragon at that, you know, just like everything about Figment is just, you know, just highly enjoyable. And especially with how he is in the original attraction of Journey into Imagination, you know, he's just absolutely charming and just a great part of a dynamic duo with him and the Dreamfinder.
And you probably do recall sometimes in my videos or even in this podcast, I love doing the Figment impression. It's one of those few impressions that I'm proud of doing and doing very well.
But yeah, I am. So this is all to say that I am a major Figment fan. And honestly, I was quite surprised to hear that there is going to be this Figment movie, that now Figment is going to be the star of his own motion picture. And by the way, here's a little fun fact. Technically, it's not going to be the first time that Figment will be in a movie, period, because he has already made like a few little cameos, like basically Easter egg like cameos, where he shortly appeared in Inside Out, where he was on a frame, on a picture frame, right next to when we see the train of thought. And then he was also in Toy Story 4, where he was on a sign in one of the carnival games. So yeah, Figment did make a few appearances before. Oh, and then there's also, of course, the Figment doll that did appear in season 4 of Stranger Things. But yeah, even though Figment has already made a few small appearances, this is going to be the first time Figment will have a leading role. And by the way, there's also something that is worth mentioning, and that is regarding the fact that it states that this is going to be a movie starring Figment. It did not necessarily state that this is going to be a film adaptation of Journey into Imagination. Even though we have yet to have any confirmations, it seems probably unlikely that we will have Dreamfinder to go and make an appearance. And on that note, I would be shocked if they would bring back Eric Idle to play as Dr. Nigel Channing. I doubt if that's going to be happening too. Because so far, all we know is that Figment is going to be in it. We don't know if the others will go and appear as well. But with that said, though, even though if it's just going to be a movie and it will have Figment in it, what are they gonna do? Like, is it even possible to go and find a story that would actually fit with Figment and the tone of the attraction that he's in? Would that be possible? Like, what can you do? Because so far, let's face it, what they have over here is extremely vague. We just know who's going to be one of the main characters. We don't necessarily know what the plot is going to be. Are we going to go into the realm of imagination? Is it just going to be Figment, like, hovering around the real world? Like, what are they going to do specifically? Now, I don't necessarily know, but one thing that I can say is that it is indeed possible to go and create a good story with Figment in it. And I will show you exactly why, which I have right over here. It is with this. What I have in my possession here is the Figment comic. Now, to give you a little bit of context, back in the mid-2010s, Disney and Marvel has actually created a series called Disney Kingdoms, in which they would turn some of the classic Disney rides into a 5-issue comic. And they did it with a whole bunch of them. They did it with the Secrets of the Weird concept. They did it with Big Thunder Mountain. They did it with the Haunted Mansion. They did it with the Enchanted Tiki Room. And of course, they did it with Journey into Imagination, in which they called it Figment. And not only that, but apparently this is the most popular one. This is like the most well-known one that like flew off the shelves, so much so that this is the only Disney Kingdom comic in which it actually had a sequel. And however, let me just go and state right now that when it comes to the second one, I will say that it's okay. It's not necessarily great, but for what it is, like, it's a decent continuation to what they have done here. But when it comes to the original Figment comic, specifically written by Jim Zub and Philippe Andrade, this comic is freaking amazing. Like, they do things and you will have feelings that you would not expect from this comic. Like, I highly recommend you go and read this. Like, it's actually a pretty solid it's actually a very solid story telling you the origins of Dreamfinder and Figment, like where they came from, who is Dreamfinder, who was Dreamfinder before he ultimately became Dreamfinder. And not only that, but it's also a very emotional story and also a very epic story as well. In fact, here, let me show you one of the covers of the issues, because like there are some of them that's actually like really good, actually. Yeah. Where is it? Yeah. Okay. It's right over here. Yeah. This is honestly, this right here is one of my favorite images of Dreamfinder and Figment, where it's like you got this apocalyptic scene and you got Dreamfinder holding a wrench and like just Figment just pointing at the person. It's like,
that's him, Dreamfinder. That's the new owner of Disney. He's the one in charge of the Walt Disney Company now.
Ah, hello, Mr. Chapek. I would like to have a word with you, please. No, but in all seriousness, though, this comic is amazing, and I highly recommend you go and read this. But the point that I am making here is that it is indeed possible that you can go and take elements from Journey into Imagination, including Figment, and you can actually make a very solid story with it. And honestly, I don't think this is what Disney would do. But if I would go and make a Journey into Imagination movie, or if I would go and make a Figment movie, I would just go and make a straight up adaptation of this. Like just a film adaptation of what they've already written here. Because what they did in this comic is freaking amazing. Like they already got a very solid story, like already put down in there. They already like established some beautiful art styles in this. So honestly, this is something that I highly recommend you go and read. And honestly, like if they would just do a straight up adaptation, like page by page of this, then I honestly would be extremely satisfied with it. So honestly, when it comes to this Figment movie, I don't know if I really have any major emotions to go and express about this. I don't know if this really is something that I could fully talk about, because again, it is very, very early in production, and you never know. There could legitimately be that chance that maybe it's not going to ultimately work out. There could be that chance that it'll get scrapped altogether and Figment won't end up having his movie. But still, though, even though it's like extremely vague of a concept, I will be curious to see. I mean, like, I'm a Figment fan myself. Maybe this project could really work out. Maybe it won't. I mean, we'll just have to wait and see with how this goes. But there is one thing that I do have to ask. Now, this is something I've already asked on social media, but there is something that does intrigue me about this movie. The fact that now they're going to get a new Figment movie, you know, now like they're going to go and make this major storyline with Figment, put him in the center stage and stuff like that. I just got to ask, where can you freaking audition to play as Figment? If Disney decides that they're not going to go and bring back Dave Goelz to play as Figment, can I be the new Figment, please? I feel like this is my ultimate opportunity. I've been dreaming of a moment like this. Please, Disney, give me that chance to go and get that audition. Where can I go? What do I need to do in order to go and get that chance? I feel like I am the most qualified to go and actually play a role like this.
I mean, let's go and be honest for a second. You won't know, like, I don't think there's any other celebrity who can go and fully and respectfully recreate the voice of Figment. I don't think you'll hear Chris Pratt doing a voice like this, don't you think?
So honestly, like, I want this moment. I mean, one of my biggest dreams ever is to go and be the voice of a character from a classic Disney attraction. And if it could be Figment, like, my life would be set right there. So please, I need to know, where can I get that freaking audition, man? I need to be the voice of Figment, y'all. Oh, boy. So with that said, now it's time. I want to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I want to ask you all, what do you think about the idea of a Figment movie? Would you guys be in support of it? Are you guys a little bit more hesitant? Let me know what you all think about this. Oh boy, and already people are, wow, some people are already starting like campaigns, hashtag make AniMat's Figment. Oh boy, is that going to be a thing that will happen on social media?
Well, then again, I don't necessarily want to be bothersome. Don't go pestering Disney. You know, sometimes, like, you want to help me, but then it would make the situation a little bit worse. I'm just saying. Don't overdo it. That's all that, you know, that's basically what I want to say here.
Oh, let's see what we got. Interesting. If the movie does eventually get made, I will take a peek at it and see if it can stand out on its own as a movie. But knowing that some film companies love to hire celebrities to voice characters instead of regular voice actors, they might not use the voice we are familiar with Figment. Instead, he might be voiced by an out-of-place celebrity. Oh boy, that would be a worst case scenario. But then again, considering that this is going to be brought to us by Point Grey, do you think do you think Seth Rogen could actually play the part of Figment? Like, imagine there would be a scenario where like kids will suddenly go and see like, hey, yo, Timmy, look at this. It's a dragon. Oh, hey guys. Oh, sorry, I didn't see you there. Hey, you want some? Oh boy. Oh, hey, Dreamfinder. I'm just great. Oh boy, yeah, if you really want to go in that direction, might as well go and get freaking Seth Rogen. Okay. Oh boy, yeah, okay. Likely, oh boy, this is my first time actually noticing this. Apparently a ban evade, yeah, someone is being a ban evader here. Oh boy, yeah, let me go and fix that right now. Well, it's my first time noticing that apparently they do that. It's just an internet troll, like just ranting on my just ranting on the chat wall. But anyways, they don't matter right now. They're irrelevant. Well, let me go and see that. Oh, okay. So someone apparently wants to do this. Somebody wants to read me this. He wants to read me. Wants me to read it in my Figment voice. Okay.
Let me go and set myself up. Let's see what we got here. As a Point Grey fan, I was just hyped to just hear about their involvement, even if it meant Figment may be the voice of Donkey Kong. But hearing about the writers involved does draw some concerns. On one hand, Detective Pikachu. On the other, Addams Family too. But overall, I'm really intrigued about this feature. To hell with it. Imagine it's not there, just like the troll was just there.
Oh, that classic old song. Oh my God, man. To this day, it's like one of my proudest achievements in that review. Oh boy. Or just with that review, like to this day, I'm still very proud of the Escape from Tomorrow review. Anyways, what else we have here? As someone who is a big fan of Figment, and I consider him my favorite Disney dragon, I could see how this could have potential. I mean, if Disney was able to give a story to some of Disney's other attractions like Pirates of the Caribbean, I think making a movie about Figment could have potential. And who knows if this movie is successful? Maybe Disney could finally bring back the original Journey into Imagination. Admittedly, right now it's not at the it's not necessarily plausible right now, despite the fact that it's like it's weird of the fact that Disney is like really hyping out about the multi-year transformation with Epcot, and yet one of them does not include with what the fridge they want to do with Journey into Imagination. They haven't made any announcements of what they're going to do with the ride. They're still keeping it the same. And the only big announcement they made at D23 was that they're bringing back the meet and greet Figment. That's it. I mean, I would love to have the original Journey into Imagination back, but it's going to take a while, I feel like, or it's going to require a lot of persuasion. But anyways, I gotta be honest, folks, I have no memory of Figment since I've only been at the parks literally one time, but I think this could be an interesting movie, especially with the fact that they got the king of R-rated comedy himself, Seth Rogen. I'm gonna keep an open eye on it since I do eye for all things geek related. Also, I remember when you sang the song in your Escape from Tomorrow review, and it was quite something. Hey, hopefully that something is good. All right, I think I'll read one more comment before we move on to the grand finale. Okay, I'll go right over here. I'm not familiar when it comes to Figment, but the closest I have seen from that looks like Figment of any sorts of media content is Icarus the Dragon from Dragon Ball. Looks so much similar to Figment. I'll give it a wait and see for the upcoming movie adaptation of Figment, but it better not be Chris Pratt to continue the ongoing joke. Oh yeah, I think honestly, ever since he was announced as Mario, like it really did something, like ever since last year, like somehow that gag of Chris Pratt being the voice of anything, like it really did cause something, like I don't know if like Chris Pratt can normally voice a cartoon character again, especially with his new role as Mario and as Garfield. And oh my God, I just realized next week we're gonna have the Mario trailer. Oh boy, brace yourselves, everyone. But anyways, it looks like we will be having a Figment movie, maybe, but I don't know. Let's hope for the best. And Disney, remember, call me. And now, folks, we got the grand finale going on. Yes, we have one more story that we got to talk about. Oh, schnut. Went down the wrong hole. But anyways, well, it can't be AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast nowadays without one more story or one more significant update in regards to the company that we just love to hate, Warner Brothers Discovery. Oh boy, Warner Brothers Discovery. Yeah, I mean, lately we have been hearing more about what's been happening within the studio, especially when David Zaslav, the CEO of WBD, came out trying to make a big statement to go and make things better for the company by saying that apparently the rumors of a potential buyout of WBD is not true, that the company has more than enough resources to be better, and he was giving his employees vests as a way to compensate for their hard work and stuff like that. Which, let me just say, yeah, I'm going to believe it when I see it, but for now it just sounds like nothing but denial. However, I'm not going to go and talk about those elements. What I'm going to be talking about is another major mishap with WBD. Something that has become pretty ridiculous at this point. And just when you think that things are bad with WBD, now they have to go and face a class action lawsuit. Yes, apparently a class action lawsuit is being held in which the plaintiffs are being represented by literally hundreds of thousands of people, in which that is a legitimate statement that has been said, to which now they are suing Warner Brothers Discovery because apparently for the merger, they had to go and make some lies, specifically lying to their shareholders in order to make sure that this merger with Discovery actually does happen. Apparently, they have been accused of lying about the number of subscribers on HBO Max, where they have overstated it by saying that there was 10 million subscribers more than they actually would. And not to mention manipulating some of the numbers to make it look like their stocks are actually bigger than what they actually are. And considering right now how things are being handled with WBD, it's safe to say that so far the shareholders have been losing, and they have been losing quite a lot. In fact, let me just go and read you specifically from my source on Yahoo, in which they took from the Wrap. It states here, the lawsuit was filed last Friday in New York on behalf of the Collinsville Police Pension Board, an Illinois-based shareholder of Warner Brothers Discovery stock, which it accepted in trade for its pre-merger Class C common Discovery shares. At the time of the merger, Discovery shares were valued at $24.78. As of Tuesday, WBD shares were trading just above $11. So when the merger did happen, when the merger started in April, those Discovery shares were valued at nearly $25. But then suddenly, as of right now, the shares have been cut by more than half to just 11. So you could tell that the shareholders are massively upset, in which more than half of their stocks have pretty much been plummeted. It would also go on by stating here, the lawsuit says that among several other adverse information being kept hidden, the merging companies overstated the subscriber base HBO Max. Warner Media was improvidently concealing its investments in streaming and ignoring its other business lines, overstated the number of subscribers to HBO Max by as many as 10 million subscribers, by including a subscriber AT&T by including as subscribers AT&T customers who had received bundled access to HBO Max, but had not signed on to the service. It even would continue by stating that more than 700 million shares of WBD were issued to Discovery common and preferred shareholders pursuant to the merger. The lawsuit states, meaning hundreds of thousands of people could potentially join the federal securities class action filed in a New York district court. So that is the main thing that we are seeing right here, is the fact that they are facing a major lawsuit in relation to the reason why they have merged in the first place, or at the very least in terms of a key element of how Warner Brothers and Discovery ultimately merged together. And I can pretty much tell you right now, even if you're not all that knowledgeable when it comes to stocks, when it comes to finances, or when it comes to law, having this lawsuit alone is a major bad sign and a major bad look for Warner Brothers Discovery. Because as you probably do recall, Warner Brothers Discovery is in critical debt. Like, we're talking about over $50 billion in debt. And a big reason why they have been making all these really stupid decisions is because of a desperate attempt to try to go and pay that debt, despite the fact that all they're doing is just making things worse, especially with all the scenarios in relation to HBO Max. Their big mission is to go and save up $3 billion, but ultimately it just ended up making their market cap go down by like $20 billion last time it was reported. And having this lawsuit over here is already a massively terrible image where it's going to really discourage people from actually supporting Warner Brothers Discovery, from actually doing something about Warner Brothers Discovery, or like collaborating with them, working with them with projects, or like even trusting them with their finances, or even trusting them with a subscription with a streaming platform. I mean, the funny thing to go and mention is that technically, when it comes to Warner Brothers Discovery, next year they stated that they want to go and make a complete reboot of their streaming platform with that combination of HBO Max and Discovery Plus. But now that we do have this lawsuit going on, the fact that it was stating that Warner Brothers was actually lying about many of their numbers and not being transparent with their shareholders, it's going to put a lot of distrust amongst the public. Like, forget about the content itself. Can you really go and trust Warner Brothers Discovery right now when they actually have a bit of a history of shady practices? And you never know if they're going to go and like overcharge you. And that's also a major thing. The fact that they would go and overstate what they would go and do. So from there, they could go and end up overcharging their customers, saying that, oh, well, we got a whole lot of things going on, so that's why we got to put in a few dollars extra per month on your subscription. What are you going to do? Oh, well, we can't really tell. It's going to be a secret. You know, you got all those going on. And with this distrust, it's going to put Warner Brothers Discovery in a very difficult spot. And especially with having this lawsuit continuously looming over them, like, it's going to be difficult for them to go and actually find people to trust in order to actually give them the finance to go and properly do what they want to do. And not to mention, of course, to go and ultimately pay their debt. And this is why, with stuff like this happening, it makes it extremely difficult to actually unironically believe David Zaslav in his comments in regards to the fact that no, they're not going to go and sell off. You know, they're not going to sell away Warner Brothers Discovery to another company like NBC Universal, where they would go and have their major merger. I mean, like, yeah, are you sure that's not going to happen? Because right now it seems like it's very likely, especially with the way that everything in WBD is so poorly managed right now. It's becoming absolutely ridiculous. Like, the way that they're really changing things up, it's hard to truly imagine if there can be any positive signs of how they can go and make a proper update in regards of what they want to do. Like, will things be financially better with Warner Brothers Discovery? I'm sure that this is going to take much more than Black Adam to go and solve their financial troubles, because at this rate, it's just becoming ridiculous with problems after problems after problems. And now the fact that they are facing a class action lawsuit, which can be represented by the Warner Brothers Discovery shareholders, and the fact that they're not being honest with them, yeah, this is going to put them further back into debt, and it's going to give them even more problems than usual in terms of what they're going to do. It's ridiculous. It truly is. So honestly, I feel like with this scenario, it's just all this is going to do is put a really negative image on them. It will be hurting their stocks for sure. So honestly, it's a case that the sooner they can go and try to resolve this problem, the better, because ultimately they have to go and make their shareholders happy, because they desperately do need the money. And if they're not making them happy, well, they're going to dive deeper and deeper into debt. And it feels like the rumors about the possible buyout again of Warner Brothers is going to become more and more credible. So yeah, they're pretty much put in a very difficult spot over here. Like I think it's in a position, they're in a position that no one should ever go and be. So honestly, and especially with what the plaintiffs have been saying, the fact that they've been lying about their numbers in order to actually go and make the merger happen, I feel like those are honestly very credible. With the infamous business practices of David Zaslav, and not to mention the infamous business practices of Warner Brothers as well, because they're not innocent in this case either. The thing is, with those kinds of business practices that they've been doing, yeah, it's very credible that they would go and actually be pretty secretive, like not as transparent, and be pretty manipulative with their shareholders, like lying about the numbers in order to get their approval so that they can go and properly make the merger with Warner Brothers Discovery. So yeah, honestly, this is a scenario where I don't really see WBD actually winning in this case. I don't think they're going to be in a position where they'll come out in court as the winners by fighting through the whole situation. It's either that this is going to cause them to go and sink even deeper, or they would have to go and have no choice but to agree on a settlement so that this issue can be resolved as soon as possible, and then they can go and focus on whatever crazy thing that they want to do in order to go and actually make whatever they want to do, really. That's all I want to say. All right, so with that said, now I want to go into the chat wall, and I want to ask you all, how do you all feel about this situation? How do you feel about Warner Brothers Discovery getting a class action lawsuit because of the lies that they have to commit, that they have to tell their shareholders just so they could go and make the merger happen? Do you think the situation is going to get worse for Warner Brothers Discovery? How do you think it's going to impact the business of Warner Brothers Discovery? Let me know what you think. Okay, let's see what we got here. First, we had Disney with some of their problems, including their "Don't Say Gay" involvement, and now Warner Brothers. When I was a kid, Cartoon Network was my most favorite channel of all time. My most favorite of all the kids' networks, and I always imagined one of my shows being aired on Cartoon Network. But knowing about its recent history of getting rid of several of their cartoons, including some of the Cartoon Network shows like Infinity Train, I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I'm doing independent web animation. Actually, there is an interesting update that I can give you. Now, this is something that I've heard through the grapevine, and this is according to some insiders, specifically at Warner Brothers Animation. Like, this is only regarding that animation studio, and I can pretty much say that according to them, apparently their projects, like whatever projects that they are working on, whether it be Bye Bye Bunny or Batman Cape Crusader, or even like some of the ones that, like, it's been a while people have been talking about, like the Velma series, none of those are actually going to get canceled. Apparently at least the grand majority of the projects that are currently in production at Warner Brothers Animation, they are actually safe. What they are going to do with them, however, is that they will not be airing on HBO Max, but instead they're going to go and sell their shows to other streamers. Specifically, they're considering to go and sell them to like either on Netflix, on Apple TV Plus, on Hulu, on Amazon, or whatever. So if you have any concerns of any project that's currently in the works at Warner Brothers Animation, there's a very strong chance that they are safe. Again, this is according to insiders, so I just want to go and put that out there. Okay, let's see what else we got here. The lawsuit will be proven more on how Warn Your Bros Discovery is worse than the AOL Time Warner era. This whole mess will never get better no matter what. Looks like David A-hole Zaslav is almost up. Pack your suit and get out of Warner Brothers. I'm going completely off topic on this. I met Idina Menzel and her sister yesterday. Happiest day of my life. Ooh, nice. Oh, lucky you. One day I would like to meet Idina Menzel also. Let's see. Seriously, I'm not even shocked that Warner Brothers Discovery would do something like this. Right now, I think it's safe to say that even if Warner Brothers Discovery is trying to do something they can do to pay their debt, it just makes things worse. And honestly, I think at this point, things are going to get worse, because I think it's safe to say at this point that The Flash is guaranteed to flop next year because of all the controversy surrounding Ezra Miller, and would put them in more debt. Well, honestly, that is a big debate regarding if the whole Ezra Miller, well, not the Ezra Miller controversy, but if the Flash movie is going to flop. That, I don't know. I think, like, first of all, let's just see how things are going with Black Adam, because I can guarantee you there's going to be a lot of people when that movie is going to come out. People will be forgetting about the Ezra Miller controversy, and they'll just be focusing on the DC aspect of things. And yeah, I don't know. And from what I've heard, apparently people who saw it through test screenings, they say it was actually a great movie. So I don't know. I can't fully say right now if the Flash movie is going to be a flop or not. Like, I know, like, yeah, the Ezra Miller controversies are extremely deplorable. And yes, Warner Brothers Discovery should be heavily condemned of the fact that they're pretty much siding with a criminal because they don't want to cancel their expensive movie that they already put like $250 million on. But still, it's like, it's just, I don't know if it's going to be that, if it's going to cause that much damage where the Flash is going to lose as much money as Justice League did. Let's see, what other comments would we have? Let's see. You and Warner Brothers at this point might as well be as an iconic duo as Mario and Luigi, Bert and Ernie, and Peanut Butter and Jelly. Once again, Warner Brothers managed to make yet another stupid mistake, and this time it is something as simple as lying. If this continues, David Zaslav might have a blast-off like Team Rocket. And I'm just saying, people, this is not my fault that I would go and keep on talking about Warner Brothers Discovery again and again and again and again. It's just that the company has all these crazy stories and crazy updates going on that really are worth talking about. It's just so fascinating to see the downfall of Warner Brothers Discovery and all the crazy things that are happening because of the really terrible mismanagement of the bad leadership that's currently in there. It's honestly ridiculous. I know that I know like some people might accuse me of just beating a dead horse by continuously talking about the problems of Warner Brothers Discovery right now, but it really is just like the gift that keeps on giving. It's like the never-ending madness of what's currently happening at Warner Brothers Discovery, including this one where it is a significant factor in this chapter of Warner Brothers Discovery, where we are learning that the shareholders have some serious trust issues with the company. So, I mean, you can't blame me on this, you know? Let's see what else we got here. WBD, once again, not getting how to grow their business and only trying to stock down their reputation even lower, losing billions of dollars on their market cap tax writing shows that people love, and don't get me started on their new streaming service. Now with this lawsuit, maybe Comcast should buy WBD. Just this whole situation is just ridiculous and just sad. Yeah, and not to mention, like, the business strategy is just so credible, where really, like, a whole buyout does feel like David Zaslav's endgame, that he's just doing all this because he wants it to be sold. Like, you know, this is just, you know, this is just like, it really is just like a money laundering game, like a big money laundering game. It's just to go and like, it's just for David Zaslav to go and get some value, to go and actually make an investment so that he himself would be able to get billions of dollars by getting rid of Warner Brothers, regardless of the kind of content that they would go and make or whatever. So honestly, it would not surprise me whatsoever. That's why I feel like it's more credible than not that David Zaslav would go and ultimately sell it off somewhere. All right, I think I'm going to read one more comment before we do cap this off. I'll go over here. Well, seems there's not a week without our daily dose of Warner booze. How low will they drag their reputation? Maybe Legal Eagle, great channel by the way, I definitely agree there, might might talk about this Odyssey in the future. Also, congrats for entering in the 30s very soon, Matt. Speaking of birthdays, I'll turn 29 in 3 hours. Lastly, I did obtain my Master's of Music a week ago with a solid A-, hoping to see more craziness of your podcast and your videos. Ooh, congratulations, dude. Also, happy birthday to you, too. And I think with that said, that should go and cap this off on this episode of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And we did it, folks! We made it through a whole episode without any buffering problems or anything like that. Oh my god, I am so glad that everything just went according to plan. It is beautiful to see. And also, I want to thank you all, not just for your great support, but for also joining me on this. And tune in next week for another fun-filled round of AniMat's Crazy Cartoon Cast. And I'm sure it's going to be a highly anticipated one as well, considering that in a few days as I'm recording this, we will be getting the teaser trailer of Illumination's Super Mario Brothers movie. So with all that said and done, I would like to say thank you all so much for listening. Thank you all so much for watching. And until next time, see you later, dudes.